What is up, YouTube? Robbie Vapes back again with another video, and today we are going to be unboxing this guy. That's right, if you saw my Freak Show mini video, then you know I kind of did a teaser to this. And for anyone wondering, it is in fact the Maganus V2 or post-production model, depending on how you want to label it. We'll be getting into that in just a second. This is going to be a pretty long video, I can already tell. I just have a feeling about it. We're going to do a lot of things in this video because I want to do a fair comparison of the post-production model and the pre-production model, or the V1 and the V2, however you want to label it again. Let's call it the V1 and V2 just because that's easier to say. So this is a V2, we'll be getting to that in just a second. As I mentioned, this is going to be a long video, which means we're going to be going to a lot of detail here. I'm definitely going to put links in the description below so you can fast forward to whatever part you're more concerned with. Or if you have the patience, by all means, I encourage everyone to watch right through this. I hope they do. With that being said, before we get into this much further, I do want to apologize to all of you, the viewers, because I let you down. If you saw the Freak Show mini review, you saw me pretty upset with what happened. The truth is, one of my great viewers pointed it out and said that, you know what, you really should have tested it for more than more than an hour or two. I honestly only tested it for about an hour. It wasn't even close to 2 hours. So that is on me, and truly I do apologize to you, the viewers, because honestly, you guys tune in to watch these to get informative reviews, and me sitting there for an hour using it or trying to use it isn't really a great way to represent a product. And since that video, I have been vaping on it quite a bit. I think that was 2 days ago as of today. And I've fixed it. I'm no longer getting juice splattering. There's still some issues, but what I'll do is I'll release another video just with an update. Hopefully it'll be a really quick video, letting you guys know some hints, there's some tips and tricks. But if you want to see that in the meantime, by all means, check out the comments in that video. And that is the, again, that's the Freak Show Mini, the Azra Freak Show Mini. One of the gentlemen in there who commented on it was wonderful. He pointed out where I went wrong. He was very informative, and yes, it was criticism, but like I said before, I can handle criticism, and it makes these videos better going forward. So with that being said, thank you to that person. I don't want to name any names, but I'm sure he knows who he is, and if you check on my video, you'll know who he is. And honestly, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. But again, I wanted to apologize to all of you out there watching these because I did you guys wrong. I should not have rushed through that review. I was impatient, I got overexcited on the product, I couldn't wait to use it, and then when I used it I was so disappointed. I felt like I should report on it right away, and I really shouldn't have. I should have given it a further chance. So going forward, my commitment to you guys, the viewers, is that on all products I review, all of them, whether it be an RDA, whether it be a clearomizer, whether it be a mod of some sort, I guess the only exception to that is maybe juices, which I might not wait too long. I mean, there's really not much you can do with juices. Sure, you can steep them if they taste bad at first. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll give them a quick taste first before I steep them. If I don't like the taste, I'll steep them for a bit, come back to you guys with a video on the juices. But even then, usually you get a pretty good idea of the flavors you like. So, like I said, my commitment to you is just making sure that all of you, the viewers, get a fair assessment of anything I review going forward. Okay, so again, I know I'm making this intro a little bit long. I didn't want to, but hopefully you understand why I'm doing this. And again, hopefully you can forgive me for that terrible mistake I made. I should have never done that, and I should have never rushed out to have that video published. I should have waited. So thank you for watching, and thank you for continuing to support me. I really do appreciate it. With that being said, let's get into the Maganus V2. So this is courtesy of Evolution Vapes here in Calgary. They were nice enough to supply me with this, and I have to be honest, I wasn't really planning on buying this myself. I had found a few little cheats for the V1 that made it a little bit easier, like things like how to fill it. I found a little cheat for it. I've had no issues with the coils. I know some people have, and I find that a little bit strange that there's such inconsistency, because a lot of people I've talked to and have used it love it, and then I've seen a few reviews where they love it, and then I've seen other reviews where they're just saying, we can't hit those high marks, and we can't do this, and we can't do that. And it's a little discouraging to find that out, but ultimately, to be completely honest, I mean, there is definitely some variations in I guess, manufacturing, which can always occur. So hopefully that's not the case, or hopefully that is the case, sorry, and hopefully they have since found maybe better coils or whatever that weren't, I guess, defective, if you will. If that was in fact the case, who knows. So with that being said, what we're going to do in this video, and again, links to all the times are down below. It's going to be a long video, and I do apologize for that, but I feel it has to be extensive. Today, we're going to be unboxing it. We're going to be doing a visual look at each of these, just based on how they look visually, how they are to fill. So I'll do a quick fill video on them, or I'll do a quick section on filling, how the coils stack up, because I actually haven't seen the V2 coils. This is the V1 coil. So let's find out how they stack up, how they look visually. I won't be taking them apart. I don't take coils apart, so hopefully you guys forgive me for that. But yeah, we'll just do a quick comparison between the two coils. And apart from that, what I'll do is I'll do about a week or so, maybe a little longer, depending on how long it takes me to get comfortable with this thing. And after about a week, in this same video, so it's going to be like a time-lapse kind of thing, I'll start doing a final thoughts and a couple recommendations. You know, there's obviously a few recommendations you guys are going to want to look for. The first one is, purely as a generic sub-ohm tank, you know, how does it stack up? Do you recommend it? Do you recommend the V2 as much as you recommended the V1? We'll find out. The second thing I'm going to recommend is for anyone who actually went out and purchased a V1. I think a lot of you guys are wondering the same thing. Is it worth it to get the V2? I don't know. We'll find that out as well. So that'll all be later on in this video, unboxing, how they look, some juice filling, because that was a big issue in this one. And apart from that, I think that pretty much covers it. So with that being said, let's get down and dirty with the V2 and check out what you get in the box. Alright guys, we're back. This is the close-up section of this video. We're going to do the unboxing here. I don't think it comes in this kind of white box. I think it actually comes like this, if I can get this thing out. So I'm guessing you'll see on the shelves more like that. Let's take out of the plastic wrap, put that aside real quick, and let's get to unboxing this thing. So let's take a quick look at the box itself. You obviously have a clear muzzle right here. You have the Maganus DVC. You have the 20 to 150 watt compatible on the back, just like the last one. And you have this quick little rundown, you know, supports 20 to 150 watts, variable wattage, etc., etc. If you want to pause the video, I'll let you pause it so you guys can read it. You have the contents right down here, the DVC tank, the DVC coil at 0.5 ohms, so you get one with a 0.2 and one with a 0.5. I haven't tried the 0.5 yet. Might be kind of interesting. And also this is a 0.2, the other one was a 0.25. And of course you get the extra Pyrex tube piece, and that's one piece, and you get a manual in there as well. You have all that kind of good stuff down there. And just for kicks, let's actually compare it to the original box. Alright guys, sorry about that, I had to go grab it and go find it. This is the original box right here. It's a little dirty and banged up, sorry about that. Vapes in, pretty much same at the bottom. On the sides, this one just says Maganus, this one actually says Maganus DVC. And at the top, same thing, vapes in. And on this side, Maganus DVC and Maganus. So no real differences. On the back, you will notice a few things. Again, same pretty much description right here. I won't go through it. You can pause the video if you want to read it. And contents, the Maganus dual vertical coil tank. You get the coil replacement. One of those. Doesn't say the resistance on it, but it is a 0.25, just like the one it includes. So that is good to know. And the Pyrex tube you get, and the manual. So that's the original packaging you get. We'll put that off to the side. And let's unbox this guy. So we have the tank itself, which we'll get to in a minute. We have, if we dig down deep, on the bottom side you get your extra coil, which is a 0.5 coil, keep that in mind, and the extra Pyrex glass. You also get the manual inside here as well. I'm just going to push this all off to the side for now, just so we don't interfere with it as I move the camera around. Some special notes, you got a couple warnings, things like that. Again, I'm not going to go through these too much. Just make sure you have a proper battery and you're not using a hybrid mod for any of these tanks. I don't recommend it. Just saying. I don't think it says that in the manual, but one thing to know, so just a little tip. There's the manual, pretty much the same as the last one, some more notes, some of the features. By all means, feel free to pause this video if you want to read through it. How to use, pretty straightforward, and that's that. So let's get to the tank itself. So again, you have a drip tip. It is not a 510 drip tip, I don't believe, but I have the Maganus V1 here, which I know for a fact is not. So I'm just going to take the drip tip off this one and put it on here, see if it fits. Perfect fit, so it is not 510 connection. Not a big issue for me because I actually really like these drip tips, but for some people it might be, so just keep that in mind. One thing I didn't actually mention in the other video, or in the Maganus V1, even though it was actually a part of it, is that there's actually a lip right in here. You can kind of see how it's got a lip right around the edge here. And if you look into it through down here, you can kind of see where the lip is down at the corner right here. It actually does a really good job of catching juice. So if you ever got any juice or cotton or burnt or anything like that, and it's basically catching it up in between those little slots around here. So that's actually a really cool thing to take note of, guys, because that's part of why I like this drip tip, and I didn't really talk about it in the first video, so I wanted to bring it up in this one. But they are both the exact same. Down here you have the adjustable airflow. Let's go. Again, same thing, really nice and clicky, guys. This one actually might even be a little bit more stiff, which I like. In fact, just to compare, that was that one. Oops, and this is this one. You can see this one's a lot easier to use, or not quite as stiff. That's not necessarily a good thing though. You know, I kind of prefer it being a little bit more stiff because it's going to stay in place easier. But you can see here, it's got a little, and I know it's hard to tell, but it definitely has a little bit more of resistance to this knobby thing. What else do you want to talk about? We have the logo right down here for Vapeston, and nothing on the top there. Compare it over here, and actually you don't have any logo at all. So this kind of supports their claim that this is just a pre-production model. The fact they didn't brand it on the actual tank itself is usually a pretty good indicator. So Maganus, Vapeston, completely clear. So again, just to keep that in mind, I mean, I obviously did have the pre-production model, which they told me I did. Down here below, we have the 510 connections. Now I believe one of them is silver plated and one of them is nickel or nickel plated, I want to say. I could be wrong though. I'll put a quick descriptor or a quick text piece right here so you guys can see what it actually is. But yeah, so they're supposed to be different. They actually look very similar to me. The only difference is this is a production model, keep in mind, or the V2. This one protrudes a lot more. I still don't recommend it on hybrid mods. It's just an unsafe thing. Just keep that in mind, guys. It protrudes, but not really enough. I don't believe it's adjustable, although maybe it is actually. It is coming out. So yeah, so that is kind of adjustable. I wouldn't really call that adjustable. But either way, guys, do not use these on hybrid mods. Don't take the chance. It's not worth the risk. This one, of course, does not come out. Sorry, my light just went out. And I told you about that in my last video, so I'm not going to make any more cuts going forward until I get that light fixed, until I get some proper lighting. I'm just going to ignore it. I have a light on in the background, which should help a little bit. So again, this one's pretty well worn, you can tell, and that's because I use it so much. Even with the Heracles, I still bring this tank everywhere with me, and it's my backup, and I still use it almost as much as the Heracles, actually. So just looking at this right here, you can kind of see the sidewell or the fill slot, whatever you want to call it. It definitely is bigger, and you might get a little less juice because this lip has a bigger lip. This one is a little bit skinnier, but it's not that noticeable from what I can see just side by side. What else is there? So it looks to be further away from the glass compared to this one, and it might be harder to tell on camera, but this one is much closer to the glass. This one seems to be further away. But yeah, that's just a quick note. Again, drip tips are the exact same, so won't go into too much detail on that. Let's open this one up. Oops. And let's, you know what, let's use that, or let's focus on that later on. So here we have the coil that it comes with. You also notice you have almost like a cylindrical, I would say seal almost, around this as opposed to the other one. And I'll show you the other one here real quick so you guys can see. This one's pretty juicy because it's juiced up right now, but you can kind of see this one has this huge deep well to it almost. And juice often gets caught in this well right here, whereas on this one you have it protruding more, and you can see it's not going to get caught in there. So that's a good sign that they changed that. The coils, you can kind of see them just like that, side by side. Looks to be about the same coil, but just for reassurance, I actually have a coil that I'd used before, and we'll actually take both coils out and see how they look. I'm not going to check out the 0.5 ohm coil, to be honest. I mean, I'm not really interested in it. I'd probably never use it, but I will for the sake of review, just so I can have a test on it, but I won't be using it too much further past that. So here are the two coils. You can kind of see them side by side, and let me see if I can line up the writing on here. Okay, so here's the writing. It's going to be very hard to see. Oh, you know what? I lied. This actually is the 0.5 ohm coil. So I guess the 0.2 ohm is actually in the case itself, I hope. And you can see down here, if you look really closely, this is 0.25. And again, 25 to 100 or 20 to 100 watts DVC. This one just says, if I can see there, DVC 0.5 ohm, 100 watts. So that's that. I'm actually going to quickly check. I have the box right here, so I'm going to quickly check if the other coil is a 0.2 ohm. Let's take it out and see. All right, guys, so we got it out of the packaging, and I was right. This is actually a 0.2 ohm coil, 150 watt resistance. So the other one was only marked for 100. This one's marked, as you can see, for 150. And again, you have the Vapestin DVC. So let's compare these two real quick. You can check them out. So we have, if we can get focus here. That's better. So we have the 0.2 ohm on the left and the 0.25 ohm on the right. It'll be interesting to see if it actually displays any sort of difference between the two when I actually start vaping on it, but we'll find out. And bottoms look to be almost the same. Airflow is actually bigger, which is a really nice plus. I'm really happy they did that. I didn't even expect that. And yeah, so it's looking pretty good. I don't know, do you guys think the one on the left is bigger? It looks bigger to me. Maybe it's just the angle I'm holding it at. I'm thinking the one on the left is bigger. Just that first look, it looks a little bit bigger. You do have 4 holes on all around for both of them. So that is the coil. Now let's get to the main attraction, the tank itself, and the biggest fix they made. As you can see here, let's see if I can get it to focus. They have added these widened slots, I guess, that you can actually put your drip tip in, and it looks to be a lot further from the edge. In fact, definitely is a lot further from the edge. The other thing I'm noticing is this one actually has a O-ring in it to tighten up that seal. I don't think this one had that. This one I think is just a metal piece. No, you know what? Sorry, I lied. It is an O-ring. So they both have O-rings that are sealing them. But you can see how hard it is to get in this one. You have this lip, first of all, it's kind of in the way. This one has these openings on either side. This is super tight against the glass. This looks to be a bit better. But just to make sure, we're actually going to fill it up and see how it actually fills. Let's see if it's any easier. So this is the Cowtown E-Juice that I have in front of me. We're just going to open this thing up. And we're going to try and fill this up on camera, which is extremely tricky. I'm not even taking the plastic off that. Alright guys, so you put it down there and just start filling. And let's just see if anything's going into that middle piece. It doesn't look like it, and this is a very fat dropper tip. So this is interesting. This is definitely seeming to be a lot easier. This is harder to do on camera, so if I mess up, it's my fault. Yeah, it looks to all be going in there. So that is good. I'll do one more drop in there. We won't fill it up all the way. It doesn't need to be filled up all the way. In fact, you know, let's do one more and let's look at it from this angle so we can see exactly what it looks like. And I'm actually dropping all over the bottle here, but so you put it down in there. You put it right down in there. And if I can get it to focus, There we go. It just fills up right away. That is a lot easier. It doesn't look to be anything, or it doesn't look to have anything in the chimney part of this, so that is a good sign. Now obviously I could fill this up all the way, but I think it's 4.8 millimeters, or milliliters the capacity in this, which is quite large, and that would take some time to do on camera, and we don't have time. This video is already going long enough. So you know what, let's put the juice off to the side. So that pretty much covers the unboxing of it and the direct head-to-head so far of visually how it looks, how, you know, how to fill it, things like that. This one I'm not going to get into. Like, I'll just show you. Let's take the dropper out. I'm not even going to put any liquid in here. Sorry, my light just went out again. There we go. Okay, so I'm not going to put any liquid in here because I already have a different flavor in here, but just so you can see, just for comparison's sake. So you have to get it, if you have one of these, this is a quick trick, put it right up against this corner of the lip here. And if you put it in like that, you actually don't get anything in the middle. Apart from that, if you try and go in from the center, it's too close, and basically you're going to have half of it going in the tank and half of it going in the chimney if you do it that way. So I just wanted to point that out real quick, just in case you do have the original one or the V1. It's always a quick, it's always nice to have some cheats for these things, because it can be a little bit of a pain in the ass trying to fill this one up, especially if you don't know the trick. So yeah, so that concludes our unboxing and initial thoughts. What I'll do is I'll vape on it for about a week, and then I'll come back, and once I come back, I'll have a good idea of which one I like, some recommendations. Is it worth buying? And more importantly, is it worth buying if you have the V1? Because I mean, I love this V1, so in my opinion, this is definitely worth buying by itself. Unless something crazy goes wrong with this, I have a feeling this is going to be worth buying too. But give me a week to vape on it, and what I'll do is I'll stop the video right here, come back in a week, and we'll have my final thoughts, and we'll also do a bit of a vape-off between these two to see how high these coils can really go. So yeah, so that covers it, and I'll be right back in about a week with my final thoughts. Welcome back, YouTube. Robbie Vapes here. We are about a week later. I think it's been 6 days, to be honest, since I received this Maganus V2, courtesy of Evolution Vape. So I've been vaping on it for about 6 days, like I said. Pretty much been the only thing I've been vaping on apart from my Maganus V1, just get a comparison. I have cheated a few times and vaped on an RDA a couple times because I couldn't help it. I've also been messing around with my my Freak Show Mini as well, and I've got it to work okay. I'll probably end up putting out a follow-up video to it just to clear the air a little bit and show you how it works now. You know, I've gotten the spattering under control, so it's now working a lot better than what it was. But this video is all about the Maganus V2. Oh, love it. Love it. Oh, I got this new juice in here as well, guys, and it is friggin' awesome. I just picked up some Cloud Connoisseur. That's right, Cloud Connoisseur. We're getting French on you. This is the crisp pear, and it is delicious. Very good. And I've got the Maganus V1 here. Basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell you guys, you know, how I felt about the V2, and then we'll do a quick little vape-off kind of thing and decide which one we like better for vapor production and things like that. A few things I want to talk about before we get into that, though, is the V2, which is on my Sigelli 150 watt right now. A lot of improvements, guys. A lot of improvements. The V2 has this much more open sidewells, if that makes sense. You know, where you can drip the juice in. It's been an easy experience dripping juice into this thing. It is perfect. They've really improved it since this one, the pre-production or V1 model, if you will. I think a lot of you guys already have the V2 if you bought it. You may not even know there's a V1 out there. You guys are pretty lucky, I have to say, if that's the case, because the V1, it had its flaws, as you probably saw from my other video. It's, you know, it's still a really good device. I still use it, and I don't hate using it. But one of the things I've noticed that it's just much better in the V2 versus V1 is that air bubble or the air pockets I was having in the V1. The air pockets would give me dry hits sometimes because, you know, you get this big air pocket, you taking a big breath, and all of a sudden you get air coming into the coils instead of juice, and it would basically cause a dry hit. With this one, I haven't had any issues with the air bubbles. It's been really, really good. It vapes really well. The flavor's still there. The vapor production is definitely still there. Realistically, both of these side by side are like two different units really when it comes down to it. You got the same drip tip on them. You got, you know, the same or similar coils, I guess, because these are the 0.2 ohm coils where this is 0.25 ohm. But really, what it comes down to is just it's better engineered in the V2, and I can see why they're calling this a production model and this was pre-production. The airflow actually feels a little bit looser, and I'll just show you really quickly without actually taking a hit, just so you can hear the difference. This is the V2, by the way. I can breathe through that. Like, that is a lot of airflow. This one, a little bit of gurgling. You can hear it through there. I mean, it's part of the design. It's part of my own fault too because I'm blowing into it. But I find that this one is just really, really good. It's really solid airflow. This one's got good airflow too, by the way. This one had really good airflow before, but they just made it even better. Now, you know me. I love my airflow. I can't get enough airflow, and this thing has it. It's really, really good. So I'm looking forward to continue vaping on this thing. Overall, which one's better? Obviously, the V2 is much, much better designed. It's just a much better experience for you. Any issues that came up while I was vaping it the last 6 days? Not really. I mean, I had a little bit of almost like a gurgling sound, but it's not really gurgling. I don't know what it is. It's like making a weird sound if you take a long, long hit. And I'll do that right now to demonstrate because it'll probably do it. It does it probably 1 out of 3 or 4 times on really long hits. But all in all, it's still not, like I'm not getting juice back or anything. It's just making a weird sound. So I'll take a long hit off this one. And I think it only happens at higher wattages, so I'll crank it up a little bit to 55 or 60. I had it down a little bit just for that pear stuff, because that pear is really good at a really cool vape. Too hot and it gets a little bit of a weird taste to it. It's like eating a hot pear, which I don't think anyone really does. But anyways, here it is, 60 watts, and I'll do a long hit. So at the tail end, you may have heard, I hope you heard, a little bit of gurgling. I didn't get any juice back in it. I didn't get any sort of spit back. It was just a longer hit, and I think it's just because you're getting so much vapor out of it that it's actually, the noise you're hearing is the juice filling the coils back up on those long hits. I don't know how long that was. I'm sure you can see in the description. I won't cut it out at all so you'll get an idea of how long of a hit that was. But apart from that, really, I mean, there's no issues with this thing at all. The flavor is great. It vapes well. You know, the design is there. It's a really, really well-built machine. Or a clearomizer, whatever you want to call it. It just works so well. So I guess with that being said, obviously the winner is a V2. I love this thing. The other question is, how does it compare to the Heracles? Honestly, I can see why a lot of people question my decision to choose the Heracles over the Freemax Starre / Maganus, because I think a lot of people had this one and not this one. Having this one now, I think this one actually gets an edge over the Heracles. I mean, I'm even given the choice, and I had the Heracles with me a couple times, and I'd vape on it a little bit, but I was always reaching for this one over anything else I have. In fact, I ended up giving away my Delta 2 to my younger brother, along with the iStick Mini I had, so, you know, he has that now. He loves it, so I'll let him keep it, and it's his for as long as he needs it. But yeah, the V2 ultimately wins. It's a much better design. Kudos to Vapestin for the redesign, because they listened a lot and they've corrected all the issues I had with the V1. So with that being said, let's do the Vape-off. We're going to start at 60 watts and we'll go in 10 watt increments up to 120 watts. I don't feel comfortable pushing it past there. Not because I'm worried about getting dry hits, but more because I don't like this juice at that high of a temperature. So let's hit up to 60 And we'll do each one, so we'll do 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120 on this one. Then we'll switch it out and do the same thing on that one. Actually, you know what? We'll switch it back and forth, and I'll just cut out all the in between where I'm switching. So this is the V2 at 60 watts. Pretty good. The V1 at 60 watts. Keep in mind, both these coils are about maybe 5 or 6 days old. I guess 6 days old since I put them in with when I got this one, the V2. So they're not super old, they're not, you know, young, so they've been broken in pretty nicely. I've hit them both at 120. I have the Cowtown E-Juice in this, so we'll see how it compares. I mean, they're both supposed to be 80-20 mixes, I believe. I could be wrong though. I don't see an actual mix on the Cloud Connoisseur, but I'd guess it's about an 80-20, maybe a 70-30, so keep that in mind. Really good clouds. All right, we have the V2 at 70 watts, and this reads out at 4.7 volts. Still really good flavor, no dry hits or anything, so let's switch it out again. The V1 at 70 watts at 4.7 volts, 0.3 ohms, is what it's reading at, so let's take a hit. Still really good. All right, the V2 at 80 watts, which is reading at 5 volts, and 0.3 ohms, of course, as well, which is kind of weird because it's 0.2 ohm coil, so that's okay though. 80 watts, 5 volts, 0.3 ohms. Still good. All right, guys, the V1 at 80 watts, 5.1 volts. Let's take a hit. Not bad. Alright guys, the V2, 90 watts, which is reading at 5.2 volts, 5.3 volts, sorry, 5.3 volts, 0.3 ohms. You know, I will say this, the e-liquid I'm using isn't very good hot, so forgive me if I make a face or anything, it's just because the e-liquid isn't great. I probably should have thought this out more and used the same e-liquid, but I didn't, so we'll see. It's getting hot. Alright, the V1, 90 watts, 5.2 volts. Still good. Still pretty good. It's not bad. $110 watts, 5.7 volts. I don't want to do this, but let's do it anyways. Yeah, it's hot. I can't do it past that. I can't take bigger hits off this. It's just the vapor's a little bit too hot for me. It's not super hot. It's just it doesn't taste very good, especially with that pear. Yeah, not my favorite. All right, last one. The V1 at 100 watts or 110 watts, which works out to 5.9 volts. This is gonna be a hot vape. And I can see it bubbling right now, which is a little bit scary. I don't see any air pockets there though, so let's just take a hit. Need to take a drink after that, sorry. No dry hit. Like, I mean, it's not a dry hit, it's a really, really hot vape. That being said, I mean, I don't really consider that enjoyable, to be honest. I'm going to crank this back down to 60, especially with the pear one in here. Yeah, so overall, it didn't perform poorly by any stretch. But I prefer it around the 70 watt mark usually, depending on the e-liquid. This one I like a little bit cooler, so I stick to around 60 watts. It's not a bad vape though. I'm not getting any dry hits, but again, I've heard different things. I don't know if the coils are inconsistent or something, but I've heard a lot of people who are like, I can't do 100 watts, I'm getting dry hits. I didn't get a dry hit there, it was just a little bit too hot for me, the vapor. Apart from that, if you can handle a hot vape, you should be able to handle it at 100 watts. At 110 watts, it got a little much in this one. The drip tip started to get really warm. The e-liquid just wasn't very tasty. So I'm going to take a hit at 57 watts. So much better. And that pear taste is just so good. It's like a fresh pear right now. It is just so good. Anyways, guys, so that's my overall thoughts. I know this was a long video, I apologize. But yeah, so this is the V2. I highly recommend it. I can see why a lot of people like the Maganus and gave me a little bit of flack for some of my reviews I did on the V1. Assuming you guys got the V2, I can see what you're talking about. It's a really solid vape. I'm enjoying it a lot right now. It's not an RDA, let's be honest, but it's been doing its job. It's been keeping me from dripping and driving. It's been a real nice thing to have at work or on the go. The flavor is there. Overall, it's a really, really, really good device, and I can't say enough good things about it. So with that being said, thank you again to Evolution Vape for letting me review this product. It's been a pleasure, and this will be in my collection for a long time to come. And as far as the rest of the video goes, I think that pretty much does it. So with that being said, YouTube, until next time, and happy vaping.